Hello, everyone, and a very good morning to all of you. I'm here with the civics part of class 8th. Today, I'm going to start the first chapter of civics, that is, the Indian Constitution. Students, this chapter will come in two parts, so I'm providing you the first part here. So, let's have a look on the contents, what we are going to study in this part. First, we will learn about the introduction, then, it is what is a constitution, why do we need a constitution, the Indian Constitution, Constituent Assembly, framing of the Constitution, importance of the Constitution, the preamble and its features, brief look on the features of the Indian Constitution. So let's start from the introduction of the Indian Constitution. So students, it was about 70 years ago that India achieved independence from the British. This cherished independence came through a rigorous struggle by its people who fought and prevailed. India is now a democratic country, a country of different languages, religions, caste, and creed. It is a democracy that is governed by a constitution, our constitution that protects and guarantees some rights that empower the people. So, let us embark on its journey about the fine features of the Indian constitution. We will learn about what is it based on, and what are its features. Now, have a look. In the pictures, we are having two games. First is cricket and the other is football. Students, all of us are knowing that every game has some rules. So, all these games have rules according to which these games are played. Each of these rules help define the game and help us distinguish one game from another. By the rules only, we are able to differentiate between different games, and every game has some rules. So, like these games, society also has constituted rules that make it what it is and differentiate it from other kinds of societies. Now, students, let's suppose imagine a game without rule. Imagine your school without rule for one day. Without proper set of system cannot work properly, which results in malfunctioning and failure of that system. So, a set of rule is most important for a system in order to function properly. We cannot imagine any game, even a society, even a house also, or any school or class also, without a set of rules. So, we can say that rules are the fundamental principles for the working of any system. Therefore, we can say that a written document in which we find such rules to govern a country is called a constitution. For governing a country, there is need of lots of rules. So, that is only those rules should be in written form, and these rules are written in a document. This written document is only known as constitution, in which the rules are given to govern a country. Now the question arises, we can also say this. In other words, we can say that the rules to govern a country are formulated through consensus, which means by agreement of people. Students, in a very large country, the countries that are having large area and large population, it is important to govern the country according to the will of the people. That is only the large countries always formulate laws according to the consensus. Consensus means agreement of people. That means according to the wish of the people. In most of the countries, this consensus is available in written form, and this consensus is available in the written form. This written document in which we find such rules according to which a country governs is called a constitution. Point to be noted. Most of the modern countries in the world have written constitution, and mostly of them are democratic, including our India also. So students, in modern era, most of the countries are having their own constitution, and mostly of them are democratic. Now what is the mean of democracy? Democracy is a form of government where the people only choose their representatives to rule the country. So that is only it is most of the countries are having constitution, and mostly the countries are democratic. But it does not mean, it is not necessary that countries that have constitution are democratic. It is not necessary that every country that is having constitution is democratic. Let's take an example of UK only. They are having king and queens. So it means that there are countries that do have a constitution, but the nature of the government may not be democratic. So it can be, this situation can also be prevailed that the country is not a democracy, but after that also they are following the constitution. India is the largest democracy in the world, and India is having its own constitution. Now the question arises, here you can see that what is a constitution. So the constitution is a set of written rules and regulations according to which a country is governed. If there are no written rules, people ruling over a country might do so according to their own whims. That means if there will be no rules, people started living according to themselves only, that is whims, desire or wish. So it is important, especially in a democracy, that the government functions according to clearly laid down rules. So it is important in a democracy where the people only rules, that the government follows one particular written set of rules. Now we will see, why do we need a constitution? Why do the Indians need constitution? India gained independence from the British rule on 15th August 1947. Now, the leaders of the country realized that so many years of being a colony had left India ruined economically as well as socially. When the India got its freedom, at that time only the partition of Pakistan and India took place. Britishers exploited India economically. That means there was loss of treasury also. We were suffering financially also. We were not having that much money at the time. So making the country economically strong and establishment of equality in the society was the foremost concern of the leaders. For the success of democracy, it was important that the people enjoyed certain clearly defined rights. To achieve all this, it was important to have written rules, regulations, and rights, according to which the country could be governed. Hence, the Constitution of India was formed. Now we will see what is the Indian Constitution. Students, the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. That means all other laws are formed on the basis of the Constitution of the India only. So it is only known as the supreme law of India. So what is the supreme law of India? It is the Constitution of India. It lays down the framework defining fundamental political principle, how the polity work, how the political system work, establishes the structure, procedures, powers, and duties of the government. This constitution decided the duty of the government, how the government will work, how many parts will be there, and set out fundamental rights. And it also set out fundamental rights for its citizens. What are the basic rights that the citizen of the country will enjoy? Directive principles and the duties of the citizens. In our constitution, the Constitution provides us some fundamental rights, as well as it also mentions some fundamental duties, the duties that are being performed by us for becoming the citizen of this country. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is regarded as the chief architect of the Indian Constitution. All of us are knowing that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is known as the father of the Indian Constitution. So he is only regarded as the chief architect, means he was only responsible for drafting our constitution. Now we will see that the Constitution of India was framed by a constituent assembly. How the Constitution of India was framed? So, the Constitution of India was framed by a group of people, members, that is only known as Constituent Assembly, set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946. So, this Constituent Assembly was set up in 1946. On the basis of the reports of this committee, a draft of the Constitution was prepared. A draft, that means what is before it takes a form of a bill. when the proposal was introduced. So, a draft of the constitution was prepared by a 7 member drafting committee under the chairmanship of B.R. Ambedkar. The most important 7 members of this drafting committee, one drafting committee was set up under the Constituent Assembly. The drafting committee was composed of 7 members that is responsible for the framing of the constitution, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of that. So now, what is Constituent Assembly? The constitution was drafted by the Constituent Assembly, which was elected by the elected members of the provincial assemblies. Now, this Constituent Assembly concludes every member of provincial areas. Jawaharlal Nehru, C. Rajgopalachari, Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Dr. Ambedkar, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, and Nalini Ranjan Ghosh, Balwant Singh Mehta were some important figures in the assembly. There were more than 30 members of the scheduled classes also. That means the people who belongs to the minorities also participated in the framing of the constitution, so that the constitution can be formed according to the wish of every level of society. Frank Anthony represented the Anglo-Indian community and the Parsis were represented by H.P. Modi. Now, the framing of Constitution of India. Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, you can see the left picture, was the first president of temporary, means Dr. Sachidanand Sinha was the first president, that is, he was on temporary basis of the Constituent Assembly when it met on December 9, 1946. When first time the Constituent Assembly was formed, and for its first meeting, the president of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. Later, Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the president of the Constituent Assembly. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the second picture, the first president of India. And Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar became the chairman of its drafting committee on December 11, 1946. So, if the question comes that who was the first president on temporary basis of the drafting committee of Constituent Assembly, so your answer will be Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. Now, if the question comes, usually when question comes that who is the first president, who was the first president of the drafting committee of the Indian Constitution, then answer is usually Rajendra Prasad only. Next is who was the chairman of the drafting committee? So he was Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. Now students, we will see the framing of the Indian Constitution. The struggle of independence was thus over by 15th August 1947, but the attainment of independence was not an end itself. Means only attaining the independence was not enough, because Britishers ruled India for almost 200 years. So India was totally exploited at that time, and India was backward. The first task undertaken by independent India was framing of new constitution to stabilize the condition of India at that time. The first meeting of the assembly was held on 9th December 1946 as the Sovereign Constituent Assembly for India. On 11th December, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as permanent chairman. Now, the draft constitution was published in January 1948. First form of the constitution was published in 1948. The people of India were given 8 months to discuss the draft. That means to discuss it, to propose their whatever amendment, whatever improvement they want to be done in the constitution. The trial copy was made so they can do it. So 8 months were provided to the people of India to discuss the draft and propose amendments. Amendment means the improvement that they want to be done in the constitution. The draft constitution was considered for 114 days. The new constitution of India was adopted by the final constitution was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949 and signed by the President Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Some of new provisions of constitutions were came into force on 26 January 1950, and this was the date on which constitution was commenced. So a constitution was we can say that adopted on 26 November 1949, but it came into force on 26 January 1950. That day, 26 January, is now celebrated as the Republic Day of India. Now, point to be noted, Indian Constitution was adopted. If someone asks you that when was the Constitution adopted, your answer will be 26 November 1949. But if the question comes, when was the Indian Constitution enforced, your answer will be 26 January 1950. Now, importance of the Constitution. Why the Constitution is important? The Constitution clearly defines the powers and functions of the elected representatives who govern the country, as well as the rights of the citizen. So, we need Constitution because the Constitution lays down the power. It defines the power and functions of the elected representative so that they cannot become a dictator. It also mentions our rights, that means the rights of the citizens, so that no one can exploit us. The Constitution tries to uphold certain principles, that is unity, integrity, as well as the diversity of the country. All of us are knowing that India is a very large country. It is having lots of languages, religions, caste, creed, everything. So, to maintain the equality and to maintain peace in such a diverse country was very difficult. So, the Constitution tries to uphold. It clearly defines the nature of the country's political system. How will be the political system of India? It is also defined in the Constitution. The way in which the government will be elected, how the government will be elected, like the election procedure and the universal adult franchise, and on what basis it will function, and the functions of the government is also mentioned in the Constitution. The Constitution seeks to establish social justice and the rule of law. Social justice means everyone is equal. Law, that means laws are equal for everyone. This means that in a democratic country, all the citizens are treated equally and they have equal rights. Now, some more importance, it defines the functions and powers of the executive and the legislature and also puts certain limitations on their powers. All of us are knowing that the Indian government works with the help of three organs, that is executive, legislative and judiciary. So the constitution limits and defines the power of executive and legislature also. The Constitution also mentions some privilege for certain backward sections and minorities of the society so that they can be put at par with the mainstream. The Constitution also provides some special privileges, some importance to the backward society, the person or the group of people, those who were not developed that much according to the mainstream of society. The Constitution abolishes unjust and discriminatory practices such as untouchability and female foeticide. The Constitution abolishes all the social evils that was continuing in the Indian society, that is unjust and discriminatory, like untouchability and female foeticide. Now we will see the preamble of the Indian Constitution. The preamble of the Indian Constitution. Now, what it is? The preamble is an introduction to the Constitution. The preamble is the very first page of our Constitution. Like in our book, we are having the very first page as the preface. The preface describes the objectives of the book. What are the contents of that book? What are the objectives? So, preamble is the introduction of the Constitution. It is just like the preface page of our book. It highlights the values and principles of the Constitution. It also mentions the objectives that the Constitution seeks to achieve. That means we are going to learn that what are in the Constitution, that is the preface, is the overall gist of the whole book, whole Constitution. Now, what is written in the preamble? We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity to promote among them all, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. This is written on behalf of the people of India only. That is why it is starting as We the People of India. That means, and the our constitution follows some principles, that is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So we are going to learn about all these features of the preamble. The first one is sovereign. The word sovereign means independent authority. The word sovereign means supreme or independence. That means after the independence of India, Indian adopted the sovereign feature. It means India is internally and externally sovereign. No other country can overpower India, and no one can interfere in the internal as well as external matters of India until and unless India is interfering in someone's matter. India is internally and externally sovereign, externally free from the control of any foreign power, and internally it has a free government which is directly elected by the people and makes laws that govern the people. That means India is free internally also. No other government of any other country can rule us now. Now, socialist. Socialist means social, the people only. Even before the term was added by the 42nd Amendment in 1976. Students, firstly, when the Constitution was framed, at that time this socialist word was not there in the Indian Constitution's preamble. But by the 42nd Amendment in 1976, this word was introduced. The Constitution had a socialist content in the form of certain directive principles of state policy. The term socialist here means democratic socialism, that is, everyone is equal, achievement of socialist goals through democratic, evolutionary, and non violent means. Now we will see the meaning of the word secular. The word secular means the no official religion. So India is a land of many religion, but India do not follow any religion. As a country, India has no official religion. Every religion is equal in India, and everyone is having the right to celebrate and enjoy and prosper their religion. Secular means the relationship between the government and the people, which is determined according to constitution and law. By the 42nd Amendment, the term secular, this term is also added through 42nd Amendment, was also incorporated in the preamble. Secularism is the basic structure of the Indian Constitution. The government respects all religion. That means India do not follow any official religion. All religions are equal in India. Now we will see democratic. In class 7th only we learned about democratic republic. That means India is having two head. One is the head of the country and one is the head of the government. So the head of the government is the prime minister and the head of the country is president. The first part of the preamble, we the people of India, and its last part, give to ourselves this constitution. Democratic means India follows the principles of democracy. In India, the government will be formed on the basis of the election that is conducted by the government, and in that every people of the country participate and choose their representatives. So India follows the democratic, this is the principle of India. The first part of the preamble, we the people of India, and its last part, give to ourselves this constitutions, clearly indicate the democratic spirit involved even in the constitution. India is a democracy. The people of India elect their government at all levels, that is union, state, and local. by a system of popularly known as one man, one vote, that is, universal adult franchise. Now, republic. As opposed to a monarchy in which the head of a state is appointed on hereditary basis for a lifetime or until he abdicates from the throne. Monarchy is the form of government which is ruled by king or queen in which the post of king and queen is hereditary. India does not follow this principle. India is a democratic republic, is an entity in which the head of a state is elected. Our head of a state is elected directly or indirectly for a fixed tenure. After a fixed period of time, we can remove the government according to our wish. The leader of the state is elected by the people. Now, justice. The term justice in the preamble refers to three varying aspects: political, social, and economic, which are secured through different provisions of fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Justice means to give equality to everyone. No one, that means if someone's right is exploiting, so he or she should provide the justice. Everyone is equal in the society. Justice on the basis of every aspect, whether it is political, social, or economic. Now we will see liberty. Liberty to live freely. The ideal of liberty refers to the freedom on the activities of Indian nationals. All the citizens are secured with liberty of thought. We are free to express our thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship through the fundamental rights. However, liberty does not mean freedom to do anything. It doesn't mean that we will start killing someone or we will say that this is liberty. Liberty is that we are free to follow things non-violently and peacefully, and it must be exercised within the constitutional limits. We cannot break the constitutional rules. Equality. This envisages that no section of the society enjoys special privileges and the individuals are provided with adequate opportunities without any discrimination. Equality means equality in the society, equality that all are equal, no one belongs to the upper caste, lower caste. Equality in the job fields, for the job opportunity, everyone is equal for the admission in any institution. Again, there are three dimensions of equality: political, economic, and social. Now, fraternity means brotherhood. Fraternity, this refers to a feeling of brotherhood and a sense of belonging with the country among its people. Now, some other features of the Indian Constitution. This is the main page, cover page of the Indian Constitution. Long written constitution, partly rigid and flexible, democratic republic, parliamentary system of government, a federation, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy, fundamental duties, secular states, and independent judiciary, and single citizenship. We are going to discuss all these